on, everybody? It's David from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, so park your ass right there. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you'll see a Patreon account. You click it, you become a member. All you got to do is try recommend movies and music and trailers for me to react to. So click the damn Patreon account. Help the page out. Anyway, so without further ado, we are here to review Candyman, the 2021 movie. It is directed by Nia DaCosta. Nia DaCosta has one other film in her filmography, Little Woods, I believe, and then she's also going to do the Marvels, or the Marvels. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into Candyman. So this was honestly on my radar for a while, and the reason that it was on my radar for a while is because I actually got blessed with the opportunity to actually see this movie a little bit earlier than it actually screened. So it was kind of nice to watch this movie and I actually paid today to watch the movie again in order to see the differences that were made when the movie was initially supposed to be released and the final product, which was released now. And it's safe to say that the finished product was a lot better than the one that I originally saw a while ago. So this movie basically follows Anthony, who obviously is a child from the original film. This is something that's been leaked or talked about for like the longest. As soon as Yaya's character was announced and they found out that his name was Anthony, the internet went crazy, Reddit forums and everything, tying him to baby Anthony from the first film. And then also with the casting of Vanessa, everybody already knew what was up. People put 1 and 2 together and they figured it out, So there was no real mystery about that aspect. The movie follows Anthony, who's a up and coming painter who's moved into the Cabrini Green area, and it has now been the projects have been torn down. The area is being gentrified. It's being turned into condos and nice housing and shit like that. This is far from what we knew from the original Candyman and the projects that were there once there. This is a whole different neighborhood, and Anthony's character is trying to find some sort of muse, some sort of like inspiration in order to bring out his art, because the art that he's coming up with just isn't what people are digging. So he finds out about this urban legend about the Candyman through his girlfriend's brother, and he begins to investigate, and he thinks it's a bright idea to turn this into an art exhibit, right? He does so, and it's met with kind of like, but soon terror starts to ring out, and his name gets attached to the terror, and then thus it snowballs into what we have with this movie. And honestly, my initial thoughts are, one, the cast does fun. The cast does an amazing job at the movie. There's jokes here and there. The jokes, honestly, to me, become a little bit repetitive after a while. Little jabs at white folks. The first couple of times pretty funny, but then after a while it becomes kind of like a run-on gag that kind of gets overused in a way. The first half of the movie is freaking amazing, dude. It really gets you like pumped in. You're watching the movie, you're really just like into it and you're focused. It really does a really good job at that. Also, the freaking music in the movie, amazing. The score is freaking phenomenal. It does a very good job at complementing the film. Like I said, Yaya's character does a really good job at being baby Anthony, or his character in the movie. Don't want to, get into particulars of it. But where this movie lacks in the middle, it drags. So the first act, fire, great first act. Once you get to the middle, it starts to really drag, really drag. It starts to it's like cement shoes. And honestly, once you get to the final act, you're kind of sitting there like, okay, how are we going to end this? It really felt that the ending felt rushed to me. The ending felt rushed. It felt forced. It felt like it wasn't the greatest ending. Now, there's a part of the ending that's freaking phenomenal, and I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but I will discuss it later, and I will give you a spoiler warning before time. But right now, this is the spoiler-free section, so you're clear. But yeah, so basically what happens is during the third act, the climax of the film, the reveal, all this shit, the purpose and all of that great stuff. What's behind this curtain here? all of that shit is stupid. Like, that third act was fucking dumb. Like, I was so irritated with that third act. And I was so irritated with what they tried to do. And it it really just grinded my gears, dude. Like, it really, really bothered the shit out of me. A lot of people have been saying, like, oh, this is a little BLM movie. And I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to call it that. But there is, like I said, there's one scene in particular where you're just kind of like, that just didn't feel authentic. That felt kind of forced. It felt kind of like, oh, we need to add this in just for the flavor of the moment. And it kind of rubs you the wrong way when you're just, because it doesn't, like I said, things that are not authentic rub you the wrong way. I said this when I did the trailer reaction. I said this time and time again. I say it with all kinds of films. If you're doing something and you're doing it in an unauthentic manner, it would always rub people the wrong way. When you watch the original Candyman, it does it in such a lighthearted, heavy-hitting way where it doesn't bother you because it's the damn truth. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like they're jamming it down your throat. It really felt like it was just subtle. Like, the scene in the original Candyman where Helen gets attacked in the bathroom. And they're talking about, well, we've been trying to get police to come here for years. All of a sudden, a white woman gets attacked and they shut the whole building down, and now they want to help us, So things like that, dialogue like that makes you like, okay, I see where you're going with this, but this movie is just really just like overt to the point where it treats the audience as if it's stupid. You can't treat the audience like they're stupid. You don't have to spoon feed the audience every single thing. All you have to do is just let the movie flow. And if your message is strong enough, it will be conveyed. You don't need to force it on people. You know what I'm saying? I enjoyed the theme, the tie-ins to the movie, the expansion of the Candyman lore. All of that stuff is fantastic. I loved it. There was things that, honestly, I didn't like and I kind of didn't understand. But the more I sat on it and dwelled on it, I felt like it made a lot more sense. Kudos to the studio for actually listening to the people within the focus group and actually seeming like they took people's not complaints. I don't want to say complaints. They took people's criticisms to heart. They actually listened to them. A lot of people felt like the movie felt a little incomplete in places. It felt like it kind of things came out of nowhere. The flow was off, and they did things to basically cover those up, to basically patch those things up, and it made a way better flowing movie. I understand that when you see a screener and things like that, these movies are incomplete. There's still scenes to be shot, things to be added in, things to be kind of tightened up. I understand that it's a rough copy, but I'm so glad, like I said, that I felt like they took people's criticisms to heart and they actually went in and changed some tidbits. There was one tidbit that was criticized and it still did remain in the movie. And honestly, it's one of those things where it's something that was left unanswered. And I don't like movies that do things and they don't answer it. If you weren't going to answer it, you might as well just not even have it in the movie. You get what I'm saying? Here on the Cinema Chop Shop, we grade movies in three ways. Either you get bodied and sent to the bowels of hell, either you get a big fat meh, or you get spared. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I enjoyed this movie the second viewing. It was a lot more fuller. It felt like the pacing felt a little bit better. It didn't drag as much, but at the same time, it still suffered from a weak second act. It also suffered from a horrible third act, in my opinion. And the only reason that the third act was saved was because of just a moment. You get what I'm saying? A moment. So I'm going to have to give this movie a meh.
Not quite my tempo.
Not impressed.
But it can be better.
Mediocre.
Meh.
But the TV gave me the impression that...
We said meh. M-E-H. Meh.
Yes, you heard it, folks. I'm giving this movie a meh. It's okay. It's mid-range, mid-grade, mediocre, más o menos, all that good stuff. But for this section right here, I want to go ahead and I want to go into a little brief little spoiler section. So if you have not seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, exit out the cinema chop shop right now, and I'll see you next time. But if you want to, if you've seen the movie and you're comfortable with spoilers, stay where you are because we have some great discussions coming up. One thing that I didn't like, I'm assuming you guys are gone already. One thing that I really didn't like was the fact that they made Candyman into some sort of anti-hero in order to kind of redeem the black community. What the hell is this? Domingo's character, I was about to call this man Santiago. Domingo's character basically says that he wants to bring back the legend of Candyman, I guess, to kind of like kill off the people that are coming to gentrify Cabrini Green, right? And I mean, as good and dandy as that sounds, you're making Candyman out to be like some sort of freaking anti-hero, you know? And on top of that, you're introduced to multiple Candymen, a young boy, sharecropper, the original Candyman, Daniel, and also, what the hell is this new guy's name? Steven? What was his damn name? The dude with the hook for a hand. He had like the little, and the guy that was handing out candy to people. I forgot his name. It slipped my mind. But anyway, we're introduced to all these characters, and it seems like Candyman is a black thing. You know what I'm saying? It's basically a representation of the trauma and the torture that black people have endured. I completely understand that, you know. But at the same time, you have to realize that if this is a spiritual sequel and is a sequel to the original, then you have to take into account that Helen was also a Candyman, you know, and she's not really, her story's visited in the story, you know, it's visited in this movie, but at the same time, there's like really like, it's kind of told, but she's not really associated with Candyman. She's not associated with the myth, the legend, the folklore, any of that. She's just kind of like an outlier. She's on the outside. And I kind of didn't like that because at the end of the day, technically Helen is a Candyman. Say her name, she becomes an urban legend, she pops out, she whoops your ass. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you can say, well, you could say, oh, well, you said Helen's name in the mirror, you know? But at the same time, they were still, the new Candyman guy, they were still calling him by his name until his name was forgotten. And they called him the other thing, the Candyman. Let me see. Hold on. What's this dude's name? It's gonna bother me. Sherman. There you go. Sherman. Sherman. So eventually Sherman's name was forgotten in history, and then he just became known as Candyman, right? But here's the problem I have. Helen, like I said, is considered a Candyman, and she's not given that kind of respect or anything. But another thing I had a problem with is the ending. That police shooting scene felt so fucking forced. Like, I didn't like it. I made it clear that I didn't like it. I made it clear that it felt forced when I was talking to, you know, the people at the studio or whatever, at the screener or whatever. I made it clear that I felt like it felt forced. It came out of fucking nowhere. Like, this dude's on the floor, dying out, shit like that. Motherfuckers just pop in, boom, 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 shoot him. And all of a sudden, they sit in the car with his girl, and they telling her, like, well, either you can say that he came at us with a hook, or you can go to jail as an accomplice. It's up to you. You know what I'm saying? And I was just sitting there the whole time like, oh my God, this feels so fucking stupid. And even, like I said, even Domingo's purpose, oh, well, I need to keep the legend alive in order to, like, you know, to pillage the people trying to gentrify Cabrini Green. That felt stupid, you know. All of that whole fucking third act felt so fucking stupid, you know. The only redeeming quality of the third act was when my boy Tony Todd pulled up. You know what I'm saying? So that was pretty dope. Tony Todd pulled up for like a literal 5 seconds, but the shit was worth it. You know what I mean? And another cool quality is that one of the Candyman is actually a kid, and I think he's based on that. There was a child a long time ago that a lot of these people are based on low-key things that happen. You know what I mean? Like, you have the dude that was beat by the police. Shit's happened countless times. Some dude that was lynched countless times. That kid was based off of, I believe, the youngest person to be put on the electric chair. I think he was based on that. There's also the guy that got dragged by the truck in the little puppetry act. That guy, um, that there was the incident about that what in like early the '90s or some shit like that, So or the early 2000s, it was one of those things where they drug some guy from a pickup truck. So all these people seem to be based off of things. Also, I'm kind of glad that the studio changed the design of Sherman. Sherman's original design was like this fat face, like very swollen looking face, similar to Emmett Till, and they changed it up completely, and they made it look as if he just got beat up, bruised, torn up face, things like that. That design looked way better than what was they originally had. And if you don't believe me, if you go watch the original Candyman trailer that came out last year, you can see the swollen face Sherman in that trailer. You get what I'm saying? Like a lot of people were making fun of it, and I honestly feel like the studio saw people clowning on their comment section, and they chose to go another route with it. So kudos to them for seeing a bad thing and then like dipping out. Um, like I said, dude, that third act was stupid. Um, Freaking Yaya's girlfriend, her dad commits suicide, and it's kind of like makes you feel like he has something to do with the myth of Candyman, but it's never explored. Like, you just know that this man kills himself, and then that's it. And like I said, this was another thing that we brought up to the studio. Like, why are you bringing up this story about her dad if you're not going to elaborate on it, if you're not going to revisit it, if you're not going to touch on it? Now, or unless you're trying to hint at that maybe, uh, a young girl that grew up in trauma is attracted to trauma because she ended up, dating someone that looked exactly, that just was a painter like her dad and ended up mentally ill like her dad. So unless it's one of those things where it's like the ironic psychological theme of it. Um, Another thing that I didn't like, but after I dwelled on it, I kind of understood, is the fact that they chose Sherman's Candyman to be a central focus of the film and not Tony Todd's character. You would think that Tony Todd's character or Daniel would have been the main focus because, the kid, that's baby Anthony, he has a history with him. So you would think that the central focus would be Todd, but it's not. It was Sherman's character, who, like I said, did a pretty good job. I'm not mad about that. It was cool that they expanded the Candyman lore. But at the same time, it's like, I thought it would have been better if they would have chose Todd's character because, like I said, he has a history with Anthony. But they chose the Sherman character, and I think the reason why they chose Sherman's character is because Domingo, when he first talks with Yaya's character, he tells him, the legend of Sherman, what happened with Sherman. So that's the first instance where he learns of the urban legend is about Sherman's urban legend. And that's why he's introduced to that specter. At least that's what I believe. And that's the same reason why Helen is introduced to Daniel's character, because she's introduced when the professor guy is talking about the urban legend, he's talking about Daniel and what happened to Daniel. That's her first introduction to the character. One of the characters, one of the Candymen. So to me, it makes sense. Now that I think about it, I guess it makes sense. But I still wish that the studio would have went to the direction of like more Todd, or at least had Todd be like, behind the scenes or something. Like I said, Domingo's freaking purpose behind the whole thing was so stupid. Although I love Domingo's character in the movie, he was very menacing. He did a great job. I still felt that it was lacking in the whole purpose department. They could have did so much with this fucking movie, and I really felt like that third act let me down, and that's the reason why it's an all right movie, especially the first half, but that halfway mark and that third act really, really like put you in a bad mood with this film. Overall, like I said, the movie was fun to watch. It's a great installation to the Candyman series. It's better than 3. Not much. That's not much of a bragging right, but it's a good. Like I said, it's a good installation to it. They tried Nia DaCosta, but Nia DaCosta, man, I'm gonna tell you this: Nia DaCosta has a fucking eye. Nia DaCosta has a great eye. Some of those kill shots were very creative. When he killed the female lady, and it like panned out of the building, and you see Anthony run out the room, and then the lady walks behind him, and then like you're watching everything from like a window outside, You're just watching it happen. That was cool. Um, what else? When you're watching it from the mirror that fell on the floor in the bathroom, the murders take place like that. That was pretty cool. Um, there was another one that was pretty cool. I mean, that fine. I ain't gonna lie. Even though the whole police thing felt super fucking forced, this dude Anthony murking the police officer was fucking amazing. Like that shit was dope. That was pretty awesome. I really wish that we would have kind of got more close-ups of like the kills and things like that. It really felt like Sherman's character was like kind of like a background character doing low key shit. It really didn't feel like they kind of, you can tell like they kind of didn't want to go too slashery with it. But like I said, Nia DaCosta's fucking eye with some of the scenery, the opening kind of like a reimagining of the original Candyman when it's going over the top. That was amazing. Like I said, some of the scenes that were added in, later, the opening where the introduction of Sherman's character and Domingo's character as a kid, that was new. The Helen, when Anthony goes to the school, gets Helen's old shit, that's different. A lot of the puppetry scenes, dude. The puppetry scenes were freaking amazing. I really love the puppetry scenes. It felt very artsy. It added an extra little to the movie, Like I said, there's a lot of good in this movie, but it's just the fact that they couldn't end it hard. Like they couldn't, like you have to be able to end the movie hard in order to like really get that stamp of approval. And because the ending was very weak, I'm just gonna have to give it a weak grade. So that's my review. Let me know if you agree or disagree, whatever the case may be. Drop it in the comment section down below. And you are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys are having a magnificent day. Adios, homies.